In 2020, 150 families purchased house land packages in Clydesdale, northern Sydney. They saved up their entire lives, paid six-figure deposits, and dreamed of owning their own homes. Originally, the houses were supposed to be delivered in 2 years, but now 5 years have passed. The land where the houses should have been built is still just an empty lot. The land hasn't even been settled yet, and now they even have to go to court. Most of these families are ordinary middle-class households, and a six-figure deposit is no small amount for them. Would you dare to buy a house land package? Next, let's take a look. The journalist investigating this incident found that the developer had already been delisted from the Australian Securities Exchange in 2022. The reason was that they failed to submit their annual financial reports for 2020 and 2021. And what's more, this is a Chinese developer. BHL Group has multiple affiliated companies under its umbrella, and the complex company structure makes it extremely difficult to trace where the funds have gone in the end. It's really an embarrassment for the Chinese community. The funniest part is this sunset clause. What does that mean? It's usually a very hidden clause in off-the-plan contracts intended to set a deadline for the project's completion. If the project isn't delivered within the specified time, both the buyer and the seller can withdraw from the contract and get the deposit refunded. There have already been many cases in Australia where developers maliciously use the sunset clause, deliberately missing the contractual deadline for delivery in order to terminate the contract. So why do they want to terminate the contract? Because land prices in Australia have been rising so quickly. For example, this developer delayed the project for 5 years, and now, 5 years later, the value of that land has doubled. So now, shamelessly, they're telling the buyers that you have to pay double the price to get the land that was originally yours. For buyers, they either have to pay more money to buy the same house or use the same amount of money to buy something farther away. Even so, who is going to bear the opportunity cost they've missed out on over these 5 years? Seeing news like this, Yan feels very conflicted. On one hand, I really sympathize with these families, but on the other hand, I have to say people who are pitiful often have their own faults. You just shouldn't buy a house and land package. There are just too many uncontrollable factors when it comes to buying land and building a house. For example, the significant increase in raw material and labor costs over the past 5 years after the pandemic, the unpredictability of the timeline, and the uncertainty of quality. And from a price perspective, the cost of buying land and building a house also includes the developer's marketing expenses, the seller's agent commissions, sales commissions, advertising fees, and all sorts of miscellaneous charges. In the end, all of these are passed on to you, the buyer, so the price you pay is far higher than the actual value of the property itself. And if being expensive wasn't enough, these houses are all exactly the same. There's a real lack of uniqueness. When you want to sell or rent out your house in the future, you'll find that your house is just like your neighbor's and the one across the street. Every house is the same. So why would anyone choose to rent yours? Why would anyone want to buy yours? And that's not all. Most importantly, in those large development zones, multiple similar houses are built every year, resulting in a huge supply of housing, which leads to a very high vacancy rate. You can't sell at a good price, and you can't rent them out either. There's nothing but drawbacks. All I can say is that my voice alone is small,